On May 4, 2018, the day began like any other at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, with airport workers gearing up for a busy day assisting travelers on their journeys. In the afternoon, airline staff at a gate noticed an unusual sight: a soldier in combat uniform deeply engrossed in his phone. Initially left undisturbed, concern arose when the soldier openly began shedding tears. Considering that his flight was scheduled to depart, the staff decided to approach him. That's when someone exclaimed, "Don't let him board the flight," revealing the reason behind specialist Brooks Lindsay's emotional state. As the staff delved deeper, they discovered the poignant story behind the day's unusual events. Brooks Lindsay and his wife, Haley Wilson, had met in 2015 in their hometown of Jackson, Mississippi. Since the beginning of their relationship, they had become inseparable, deeply in love. Lindsay had harbored a childhood dream of becoming a U.S. Army soldier, and with Wilson by his side, he fulfilled that dream. The couple tied the knot in 2017, adopting the name, the Lindsays. Despite their youth, Brooks and Haley eagerly anticipated starting a family. Shortly after exchanging vows in November 2017, they received life-changing news. Haley was already pregnant with their first child. The joyous revelation filled the newlyweds with excitement, and they eagerly shared the news with family and friends, expressing their anticipation of welcoming their first child. In the following 9 months, time flew as Haley attended doctor's appointments, ultrasounds, baby classes, and more, with Brooks faithfully by her side. During one of the initial ultrasounds, the couple received incredible news from the doctor, further cementing the profound journey they were embarking on. In a short time, they were expecting a baby girl. Although Brooks desired nothing more than to stay home and support his wife through the pregnancy, duty called as he had enlisted in the Army. Joining the 2nd Battalion, 114th Field Artillery Regiment, Brooks needed to undergo training at Fort Bliss, Texas, and subsequently deploy to Kuwait for a 9-month tour. Despite Brooks not being ready to bid farewell to his beloved wife and unborn child, the obligations of his military service left him with no other choice. Meanwhile, Haley's pregnancy progressed favorably. Uncertain of whether he would be present for the birth of his daughter, Brooks began preparing for his deployment. The day arrived for Brooks to embark on his tour. He kissed a 7-month pregnant Haley goodbye and headed to the airport for his flight. While both felt a sense of disappointment, they understood that, as a soldier, Brooks's duty took precedence. Sacrifices had to be made, and they held on to the hope that somehow Brooks might witness the birth of their daughter. Before departing, Brooks and Haley decided on a name for their baby girl, Millie, a name they both adored. Despite feeling conflicted about leaving his wife, Brooks was also excited to commence his soldier training. As they embarked on this uncertain journey, neither of them knew where it would lead. However, they continued to navigate through the progressing stages of Haley's pregnancy. Everything appeared to be going smoothly, with the only concern being a slightly elevated blood pressure that Haley experienced. Nonetheless, she felt and did well overall, and, most importantly, baby Millie continued to grow strong and healthy, while Haley wished for Brooks to be present to witness the baby's arrival. She understood that he was fulfilling his duty as a soldier. The entire Lindsay family eagerly anticipated the arrival of the baby girl, just a few weeks away. Despite the excitement, Haley couldn't shake a bit of nervousness about the high blood pressure, particularly since this was their first child. Still, she held on to the hope that Brooks could come home. Unfortunately, the reality for many soldiers is that returning for the birth of their children is a complex process, requiring approval from the Red Cross. Haley and Brooks attempted to navigate the challenging process, aware that it often involved demonstrating a level of distress. Despite their efforts, it seemed unlikely that Brooks would be granted leave, given that everything was progressing well with the pregnancy and there was no apparent reason for his return. Both Brooks and Haley felt a deep sense of disappointment about the situation. "We were pretty upset about that because I was not having any issues with pregnancy other than a little high blood pressure," Haley expressed. However, their circumstances were about to take a significant turn. During a routine doctor's appointment one Thursday morning, where Haley expected the doctor to check on her and possibly schedule an induction for the following week, unexpected events unfolded, altering the course of their plans. During the routine checkup, there was an unexpected turn of events as Haley's blood pressure had skyrocketed. The doctor delivered distressing news, suggesting that baby Millie might be experiencing complications in the womb. To investigate potential issues, the doctor ordered extensive blood work for Haley. While awaiting the test results, Haley was sent home, but the uncertainty weighed heavily on the expectant mother. The anxiety grew as she wondered if there might be something wrong with her baby girl. On a positive note, the heightened concern also meant there could be a valid reason for Brooks to return home. The waiting period was undoubtedly nerve-wracking for Haley. Then, suddenly, the phone rang, and one can only imagine the mix of emotions she experienced while waiting for the doctor's call. Just an hour after leaving the doctor's office, she answered the phone and couldn't believe what she heard. The doctor informed her that due to her elevated blood pressure and the potential stress on the baby, she was diagnosed as preeclamptic. Preeclampsia not only indicated high blood pressure in the mother-to-be but also suggested its impact on other organs like the liver and kidneys. Most critically, it posed a risk to baby Millie as well. With this diagnosis, Brooks now had a legitimate reason to return home, and the urgency of the situation added a layer of complexity to their already emotional journey. With Haley's condition rapidly deteriorating, the medical team realized they couldn't afford to wait any longer. The urgency of the situation led the doctor to decide on immediate action. They had to induce Haley into labor without delay. Recalling the moment, Haley mentioned, "She told me to be at the hospital in an hour, and they would go ahead and induce." The priority at this point was ensuring the safety of both the mother and the baby. Despite the urgency, Haley needed to inform Brooks of the latest developments. Frantically calling Brooks, Haley shared the news, and amidst her anxious state, Brooks expressed excitement. This unexpected turn of events meant that Brooks could now secure emergency leave and be present for the birth of his baby girl. However, before boarding a flight back home, approval from the Red Cross was essential for this emergency leave. Upon Haley's instruction, Brooks urged her to contact the Red Cross to apprise them of the emergency. I then went on to call the Red Cross and let them know it was indeed an emergency. They simply needed clarification from my doctor. I get to the hospital at 3 p.m. Thursday, and they confirmed my state," explained Haley. Following the confirmation of her condition, the Red Cross promptly granted Brooks emergency leave. While Brooks felt a mix of excitement and fear, excitement to be with his wife and witness the birth of his child, and fear for their delicate condition, the next few days would prove to be some of the worst and best of his life. Finally, after a prolonged period of uncertainty, it was time for Brooks to return home. Despite feeling terrible about not being by his wife's side, Brooks made every effort to expedite his return. However, typical of air travel, some hurdles arose along the way. Initially, Brooks faced the challenge of finding the shortest and soonest flight from El Paso to Jackson. Unfortunately, the only available option included a layover in Dallas. To add to the difficulty, all the flights for the day were fully booked, requiring Brooks to wait until the following morning at 10 a.m. for the next available flight. Determined, Brooks did his best to wait patiently at the airport. Upon learning that Brooks might not make it in time, Haley's heartbreak intensified. By the time he eventually arrived at the hospital, the reality of the ticking clock was apparent. Haley expressed, "I was sure that he would already have a baby by the time he arrived, but at least he gets to come home for 4 days, so I was taking whatever I could get." Despite Brooks's efforts to secure an earlier flight, luck was not on their side. The soldier and expectant mother couldn't seem to catch a break, and it appeared that Brooks might arrive well after Millie's birth, while it was better than not returning home at all. The prospect didn't bring much joy to either of them. Unfortunately, the roller coaster ride for Brooks and Haley had just begun. While Brooks remained stuck in an airport, Haley and Millie stayed in the hospital. The following morning, Haley's water broke, initiating the process of labor. Friday morning, my water was broken at 7 a.m., and Pitocin, a drug often used in births, began, shared Haley. Now, the baby could make an appearance at any moment. Brooks's situation remained unchanged as he arrived at the El Paso airport for his 10 a.m. flight to Dallas. To his surprise, he encountered a short wait at security and boarded the flight without issues. There was a glimmer of hope that all the problems were behind them, and Brooks might make it in time for his daughter's birth. However, he still had a long journey ahead. Finally, Brooks boarded his plane at 10 a.m. and landed in Dallas around 2 p.m. As soon as he landed, his immediate concern was calling Haley to check on the progress. At that point, the doctor informed Brooks that Haley was already 5 centimeters dilated, making it increasingly unlikely that he would make it home in time. Unfortunately, the situation took a turn for the worse. Brooks's next flight experienced a delay, pushing the takeoff time from 3:55 to 5:45. For Brooks, this delay felt like the final blow, making it impossible for him to witness his daughter's birth. Back at the hospital, Haley entered the final stages of labor, just before giving birth. Haley had to make a quick decision about who would be in the room during labor. She chose her stepmother Deanne and her mother-in-law Teresa. At 5 o'clock, the doctor confirmed it was time to go, marking the crucial moments of delivery. Meanwhile, Brooks remained stranded in the Dallas airport, feeling heartbroken about missing the birth of his first daughter. Despite the doctor's instruction not to record anything inside the delivery room, Teresa, Brooks's mother, had other plans to make it possible for him to witness the birth. Secretly FaceTiming Brooks, she creatively positioned the phone in front of her shirt. This discreet move allowed Brooks to witness the moment his baby girl entered the world. As Teresa defied the doctor's instructions, however, the doctors soon noticed Teresa's actions and questioned her about the camera right in the middle of Haley's delivery. The doctor sought an explanation for her seemingly unusual behavior. She displayed the face of Dr. Brooks on the screen, and realization dawned on Haley. As it turns out, another doctor had advised against recording, being unfamiliar with the family's situation. However, Lindsay's doctor recognized the importance of the phone. Upon urging from Haley, her doctor instructed her to show Brooks what was happening. Meanwhile, Brooks was left utterly stunned. The soldier, witnessing his wife giving birth to their beautiful daughter, couldn't believe the moment. Teresa was allowed to FaceTime Brooks during the delivery, and he started offering support, telling her she was doing well. Haley remembered hearing him wincing and expressing amazement during her pushes. As the hours flew by, Brooks, captivated by the screen, needed to board his flight to Jackson. Despite the airport staff calling for final passengers, Brooks, focused on his phone, missed the announcements. A staff member approached him, encouraging him to board the plane, as he would miss his flight home. Brooks, in the midst of the moment, insisted on staying and witnessing the birth. Just as she started to crown, Haley recalled, Brooks said they were making him bored and needed to get off. Many travelers noticed the soldier, and some even attempted to delay the flight. One person ran up to the flight crew, asking them to slow it down. Unexpectedly, just as Brooks was about to give in and hang up the call, the doctor screamed, "Don't let him board the flight. She's here, she's here." In an instant, the soldier's tears turned into the biggest smile. Fortunately, the airport personnel allowed him to stay and witness the entire event. Millie Fritz Annie Lindsay entered the world at 5:23 p.m., giving her father enough time to still catch his flight and head home to meet his new bundle of joy. The news quickly spread throughout the airport, and an excited crowd surrounded the new father. The good feeling lingered in the terminal for the day. Even after Brooks' plane departed, thankfully, he didn't have to board the plane alone anymore. A whole crowd gathered around him, creating a sense of family. When the baby was born and her cries echoed through the airport, it left everyone amazed. A fellow passenger later recalled that everyone was beside themselves with excitement, and another passenger mentioned that across the country, cheers could be heard in the background during the birth. It was undoubtedly an incredible and heartwarming scene. Brooks expressed immense gratitude for the fortunate delay in the flight. To him, it was a blessing because had the flight been on time, he would have missed the birth of his baby girl. Haley later reflected that it was indeed a blessing that he was delayed because, otherwise, he would have been in the air, unaware of the events unfolding. Instead, Brooks watched the entire birth live on his phone. In the end, everything worked out for the best. Brooks might be one of the very few travelers to appreciate a delay. Still, he had a flight to catch, and if all went well, he would make it to the hospital within the next couple of hours. After all, the soldier still needed to meet baby Millie and hold her for the very first time. Once the momentous event concluded, Brooks finally boarded his flight back home. After a day full of emotions and a long wait, the soldier felt more than ready to reunite with his wife and daughter. Turning off his phone, Brooks anticipated landing in Jackson in a couple of hours. Despite his overwhelming happiness, he couldn't shake the desire to ensure Haley and baby Millie were doing well, making the flight seem to drag on forever. 2 hours later, Brooks touched down at Jackson's airport. The soldier promptly headed to the hospital, where Haley and Millie eagerly awaited his arrival. Finally, after all the anticipation, Brooks made it home. Upon reaching the hospital, he was thrilled to learn that Haley felt great. and her blood pressure started to come down with no further complications. Brooks eagerly absorbed every detail about his beautiful baby girl. Discovering that Millie weighed 7 pounds and 6 ounces and measured 21 inches long, most importantly, Millie was healthy and strong. Despite arriving 2 weeks early. Upon reaching the hospital, Haley requested all 17 people to clear the room. It was time for baby Millie to meet the soldier who had struggled all day long to get to her. Brooks, Millie's father, picked her up and held her for a straight 5 minutes. Overwhelmed with emotion, he kept expressing to his wife, "Wow, I can't believe we just had a baby." Brooks marveled at the fact that he had actually made it, holding his daughter for the first time and embracing his wife. Reflecting on the emotional experience, Brooks acknowledged the difficulty of not being there for the actual birth but expressed gratitude for the opportunity to see and hold his perfect daughter. Unfortunately, Brooks could only stay for 4 days. After that, he would be on his way back to Fort Bliss. Consequently, the couple had to make the best out of the short time they had together. Over the next 4 days, Brooks spent his time learning to change dirty diapers, snapping photos, and waking up in the middle of the night to help Haley and Millie. While some might find these tasks challenging, Brooks cherished every moment of it. To the soldier, being a father was one of the best things that ever happened to him. However, the couple had no idea that their story would soon make headlines across the country. "He told me about the people on his flight cheering and watching, and I told him it would be crazy if Ellen called," Haley joked. The next morning, the couple woke up to see Brooks plastered across the internet. Tracy Dover, one of Brooks' fellow passengers, felt incredibly touched by the soldier's story. Consequently, she decided to record Brooks as he watched the birth of his daughter. After the flight, Dover posted the emotional video on Facebook. Surprisingly, the video went viral within just a couple of hours. "This Army soldier was on my delayed flight home yesterday to Mississippi," Dover wrote. "He had to watch the birth of his daughter on FaceTime. He was crying, and our hearts were breaking. We all gave him space. When we heard the baby cry, we all rejoiced for him. I wanted to share this because I never want us to forget about our soldiers who serve us every day." The emotional video of Brooks Lindsay watching his baby's birth touched many hearts around the globe. The next morning, the couple woke up to someone telling them to check Facebook, where they discovered over 1,000 shares and 20,000 likes. They initially thought that was it, but the response continued to grow stronger. Within just a few days, the video amassed more than 200,000 views. At the time, Brooks had no idea he was being filmed in the airport. "I was just in my own little zone," Brooks explained. "My only intentions were getting home to see my daughter being born. But it turned into something much more than we had anticipated." Both Haley and Brooks were surprised by the overwhelming response from strangers wishing them well. Haley received sweet messages, and other military wives and mothers reached out to her for advice on getting their spouses home. They also experienced random people bringing gifts to their room and nurses expressing gratitude to Brooks for his service. It was an amazing and emotional time filled with immense support. Brooks' regiment also congratulated the family on Facebook by sharing a sweet picture of him and baby Millie. While Brooks enjoyed his time at home with Haley and Millie, he understood the need to return to his mission. The soldier cherished those 4 days as thoroughly as he could. Eventually, Brooks had to bid farewell and head back to Fort Bliss to continue his training. However, this time, he had a beautiful story to share. Although it's never easy to leave your newborn child, Brooks and Haley knew they were doing the right thing by allowing him to serve his country. After all, it had always been his dream. And now Brooks had one more reason to continue fighting for his country, his beautiful baby Millie. Furthermore, the soldier and his new daughter FaceTimed regularly during his service term. Many people are not aware of the incredible sacrifices that a soldier needs to make in order to protect the country they chose to serve. Brooks Lindsay is living proof of what many soldiers endure over their military careers. Thankfully, today he is home and enjoying life with little Millie. Unfortunately, unlike Brooks, soldiers often have to miss their children's births, birthdays, or wedding anniversaries. However, many ultimately believe it's all worth it. No one understands the sacrifices of each soldier more than Rick Rayleigh, a brave veteran and wonderful husband, father, and role model. Just like Brooks, Rayleigh was simply a soldier trying to get home to his pregnant wife when tragedy struck. Born and raised in New York, Rayleigh decided to join the Army National Guard in 2004. While overseas, the soldier, alongside his unit unofficially titled the Avengers, conducted over 200 combat missions and convoys. Eventually, Rayleigh got on the lead truck of every mission, and over time, his unit became a part of his family. He would always protect them. In 2008, Rayleigh's first deployment in Iraq was finally coming to an end. Despite being an excellent soldier, Rayleigh couldn't wait to return home because his wife was 5 months pregnant, just like Brooks Lindsay. He wanted to prepare for the birth of his son. However, a devastating incident occurred just before he planned to return. During an everyday convoy, Rayleigh's truck encountered an improvised explosive device. Suddenly, he tripped, and while most of his fellow soldiers were injured, including himself, his unit managed to make the 2-mile trek back to base. For their brave actions during these events, Rayleigh and 2 other soldiers received Purple Hearts. Rayleigh did manage to make it back home to his wife and unborn child, but it came at a cost. While he had no visible scars, Rayleigh suffered a traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder. From there, things got worse. Just 6 months after returning from Iraq, Rayleigh was in an almost fatal truck accident, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down. However, it was the emotional scars that continued to haunt the veteran. While still trying to be the best husband and father he could, Rayleigh struggled with PTSD. Determined to overcome these challenges, he decided to take matters into his own hands and sought motivation and passion in life. Thankfully, he found comfort in adaptive sports like wheelchair basketball and hand cycling. Soon enough, Rayleigh discovered the Boot Campaign, a life-improving program for veterans bridging the gap between military and civilian life. Now, Rick Rayleigh is making his way through the states, aiming to raise awareness and money for this incredible campaign. He is cycling 1,500 miles from New York to Florida, where the Wounded Warriors Abilities Ranch is located. Rayleigh hopes to raise at least $150,000 for this remarkable cause. Stories like his inspire us and make us grateful for all these amazing soldiers.